Hello, everyone. We are at OU University at Skips Hall. Today, I'm with Dr. Jeff Kuhn. He is an instructional designer here at the university, and he works on game research and immersive design. So, he usually give talks about game design and game in education. And he is also the coordinator here for an esports team and esports clubs. So, welcome to Ubisoft and welcome to Algeria, actually, because there's a lot of Algerian community in my in Algeria. Yeah,
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. This is great.
yeah. So since I got here in your office, I would say I love your office. I love what you're doing. Your research about the gaming in education. So, would you like to give me some examples about games in education? Maybe some games that are used today in education.
Yeah, I think we've got kind of like two types, right? So we think about games that are commercial off-the-shelf games. You've got things like Minecraft or Civilization or, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Things that have educational content within them. Even something like Assassin's Creed, which has historical context, and putting students within that space to have an experience that they can draw from, and then you sort of teach to that material. So what did you learn and what did you do and how did it work? So problem solving, creativity, things like that.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect being games specifically made for education. So it might be a game that teaches math or a game that teaches language. And so personally, I tend to focus on more the commercial off-the-shelf games because I just think they have much more potential.
Exactly. But could we use games in education for all fields and maybe all levels in education?
I think so. I think, and also separating out the idea of a game versus like a simulation. So, for example, one of the pieces of software we have is Universe Sandbox. Ostensibly, it's a video game, but you can control planets, increase their density or their mass, and watch what happens to a solar system. So it's a powerful learning tool
Yeah.
that really is just designed for fun, right? So how do we spin that into a astronomy class or a physics class, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting because since the three last years during the pandemic, so there were online classes, and I would say professors and instructors were having hard times doing engaging with students. So, what do you say for now, especially now, using games for online classes?
I think you're hitting kind of the key thing, and I think the power of games is when we're in a classroom, we've got the four walls of the classroom, or we're isolated at home from one another. What experience do we have? If we think about learning as an experience and then drawing conclusions from that experience and building your knowledge, I mean, that's really the heart of learning, right? So if we can't give students a physical experience, can we give them a digital one?
Yeah.
So I can't have you go out and tour ancient, Constantinople, but if we played Assassin's Creed, you could walk through that and learn a little bit, or ancient Egypt, right? It's not going to be 100% accurate, but at least gives you that experience that we can start learning with.
Yeah, exactly. Today we also see the notion of metaverse. So maybe like in the 5 or 10 years, we could see like a metaverse for schools or universities. Like you would have like a personage to attend classes. It would be really great.
It's very much like Ready Player One, the book or the
Exactly.
movie. This
Yeah.
idea you could jump into a very three-dimensional but fully realized like digital space to learn. And I think the problem we're going to run into, so the barrier and the thing that I like to work on is that for many teachers, and it's changing, but for many teachers we lack the literacy. So as a teacher, this sounds silly, but I know how to read a book. I know how to watch a movie. I know how a music is performed. And we use those as teaching tools because we're comfortable with them.
Yeah.
But a game for many teachers is a completely new thing because they haven't played many of them. And so the idea of bringing them in the classroom can be intimidating because, we don't have that literacy. We don't understand how they function or how to use them the same way we do the traditional media.
Yeah, I got you.
So how do we address that first?
Yeah, but I grew up with the with some kind of media that is telling that video games are very bad and you become like very nervous with video games. So how would the world react to a more game-based education?
You know, it was comic books, and then it was rock music, and then so we've always had that kind of boogeyman that is going to ruin children. And the thing I always like to bring up with educators is the data doesn't support it. You look at the data, not your opinion, but the data. It's not there. Games aren't harmful. Games aren't addictive. Games don't promote violence. But instead, if you look at the data and you talk to students, it's a highly social experience. This is where they go to play. This is where they go to meet their friends and to socialize.
Exactly.
And so, how do we leverage that, right?
Exactly. So I had my first experience as in a team during like playing Dota or League of Legends or playing World of Warcraft. So yeah, definitely. So using games as a tool for education could be really beneficial for I would say next generation. So now here we are among a lot of machines. So Professor Kuhn is also a coordinator for esports for esports club here in OU University. Could you tell me like what were you thinking when building all this? What's the matter with all this?
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
So going back to that idea of literacy, right? Every university in America has a place for music, for books, for theater, for television. We have all the other literacy and medias represented, but not games. And so what we're starting to see is that shift. And so now this is, in one aspect, a social space. Kids can just come in here and play games. It's the dominant media pastime of kids. 75% of American kids play video games, right? So they can come in here, meet their friends, hang out, and do something they love. It also serves as an educational space where our professors can come in and address that literacy gap they have about using games in their classroom and being more comfortable with it. And then finally, competitive. So now it's a thing where, if they had this when I was a kid, right, you can actually come to the university and there are scholarships available to play, League of Legends or Rocket League as a university team, because, we're starting to see that's where our students spend their time. And so recruitment and getting students to come to this university, games are becoming a bigger part of that.
Yeah, I think that even now we have the esports included in Olympic Games. So now, if you are really good at League of Legends, you can represent your country in Olympic Games. so very last question, Professor Kuhn, just tell me your one of the best game you have ever played.
Ooh, one of the best games I've ever played. All right, so I think personally, deep down, my favorite game ever is The Witcher 3.
Oh.
I love the storyline. I read the books, and so it got me into this whole world. And I think it was what was neat about it is, it showed me a different type of storytelling. It was very Eastern European storytelling, which was different, and it got me interested in that kind of region and learning about the folklore. And so, I'm waiting for the game that teaches me about Algerian culture and history. So the task is on.
Actually,
the audience.
we have a great Algerian game developer community.
Yeah.
So I will share this with you after this recording. Yeah, we have a great Algerian community for game development. Also, just talking about The Witcher, is that I think that it was released in 2015, 2016.
I think so.
Yeah, and until now, it's still one of the best-selling games. So maybe the Netflix series played a role with it.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's still one of the best games. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thanks a lot for this interview. I hope you liked it. And if you need more information about what Professor Kuhn is doing, I will drop has a link to his bio in this video. Thank you.